Hi, Jenna here. I have a salon in Seattle called Kempt, and I have developed this video because a lot of my clients are having to do their own root touch-up at home during the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you about the supplies that you'll need and the process that you will use to touch up your roots on your own. So I'm going to start out with the supplies. You'll need your color, the pigment, and the developer. And then you'll need a bowl to put those two in. It can be ceramic, it can be glass, it can be plastic. I'm using an official one. Sorry, I've got some, I don't have to actually touch up my roots, so I'm using conditioner, and that's what's in here. You'll need a color brush and petroleum jelly. This is to go along your hairline to protect your skin from color that could overlap. And then you'll want a rag, a wet, damp rag, so you can wipe off any color that gets places that you don't want it on the skin or on the ends of your hair if it drips or moves in that direction. And then you'll want something to part your hair with. It can be a tail comb, it can be a foil comb, it could be a regular comb, it could be the end of your color brush that can make parting sections as well. And then you'll want some clips or something like this, or band, hairband, or one of these guys. Anything you have that can hold your hair in sections, because you want to keep it as neat as possible, because that'll make your job that much easier to apply. You're gonna want to wear a shirt with a wide collar, because you're gonna either pull the shirt off over when you're done with the color, or you want a button-up shirt that you can just take off this way and it not mess up your hair or smush anything. So at this point, I think that, oh, and you'll need some gloves. It's always good to wear gloves when you're applying color to protect your hands. I'm not actually gonna wear gloves. I don't have my size here. I just found some gloves in the basement, but hopefully you have some that fit you. If you don't have any, it's okay, just wash your hands pretty well, and we'll get going. So you'll want to go ahead and brush out your hair. You want to get all the tangles out, and that'll help not stop you up midway through if you have to put down your color brush and then pick up your other brush and brush out your hair. That can be very annoying and to have to stop partway through. So you're going to make a middle part. I've already pretty much created a middle part in my hair. My hair is really dirty, by the way, because I waited till the last minute to do this video because I hate washing my hair. So you're just gonna drag the tail of the comb from the middle of your forehead to your crown, kind of like this. You're gonna follow along with your other finger here, and that finger is gonna pull down the side of your hair like that. So you've created this part. If it's not exactly in the middle, that's fine. You're just gonna want it to be kind of as straight as possible. And then you're going to take the tip again from the top crown, following with your finger down to the top of your ear, and that's gonna create your first quadrant. You're gonna take a band or a clip and section that out to keep it contained, because you're going to be making partings and you don't want the hair to trip you up when you're making those. So you're going to do the other side back to the top of your crown, dragging the comb tip down and sectioning out like that. I'm going to use ponytails because they work the best to keep the hair contained. Now for the back of the hair, you're going to start back up at the top of the crown here. See what I'm doing. And you're going to drag that all the way down to the nape of your head like that, pulling the sides like that. And you'll kind of feel and see how straight that is. You may see I already have some conditioner on there because this isn't my first attempt at this video. I kept on forgetting little details that I needed to tell you. So I kept on having to go back and restart because I'm new to this. Yeah, I created a little script for myself that I'm looking at up there. Well, not a script, more like a outline, so I wouldn't forget things and have to redo this for like the third time. Okay, so I don't have another hairband, so I'm just gonna use my little clippy for this last part. It doesn't have to be pretty or at all, it just has to be contained. Okay. All right, we're ready to go. At this point, you're gonna do your petroleum jelly. You're gonna rub that on the hairline to kind of protect your skin from the color. You're going to put on your gloves. And now for mixing your color. So you're gonna have probably a tube, a bottle, a packet of pigment, and then your developer, and they will be mixed together. But before that, I'm gonna tell you a trick. A lot of people with gray have resistant sections. A lot of times they're up along their hairline, or they'll have like a patch of gray back somewhere that's completely white and may have a hard time taking the color. So in those cases, you can take a little bit of the pigment without the developer, and you can apply it to those areas to kind of pre-soften. So you can, rub some with your finger, with your gloved finger, along the hairline or wherever your section is, and you'll be using a minuscule amount of pigment, so it won't throw off your ratio of developer to pigment for your mixture. So just, don't go overboard, just do a little bit. And so then you're gonna take your developer and you're going to put that in your color bowl with your pigment, and you're gonna wanna mix it up very well, like super thoroughly, so you work out any lumps or whatever, so it's just like completely smooth. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna wanna have a really clean brush as you're working. So you're gonna go ahead and you're going to take it on the side and you're going to scrape off that excess color so that your brush is as clean as you can get it, because you really want the color only to be on the tip of the brush, like a ½ inch on the tip. All right, so we're gonna get going. The color is mixed. You've got your color brush, and you're going to apply some of the color to the color brush. Just kind of, also, you want to make sure that your bowl, because you're going to be using one hand most of the time, and you don't anything to make so the bowl isn't going to be sliding around on you. Also, on that note, you may want to remove your bath mat at this point in case you drop any color, or maybe put like a drop cloth underneath you. Remove anything that you just don't want color on, because somehow it tends to get places it's not supposed to be. So, okay, so you're gonna apply a little bit of color to the top of your brush, and it should be like this amount. So put that down. From now on, I'm just going to be dipping into my hair color like that, as you will too. Okay, so as you apply, you want to hold down your hair and create tautness. This reveals as much as your roots as possible, and helps you keep the color just on your roots and not on your ends, because if it gets down here, you want to wipe it off, because you don't want to create blotches or banding or anything like that. I'm going to go ahead, and I may be looking over here because I've got a mirror. So I'm going to apply it like that. So I'm kind of overlapping my middle part and putting part of the color on 1/2 inch on this side, and then dragging it over to the opposite side 1/2 inch. So I'm kind of covering 1 inch of, widthwise, just on either side of the part, so that on one side of the part is 1/2 inch and the other side of the part is 1/2 inch. And if you need to, you can flip your brush back over to get that other side of the brushes, the color on the other side of the brush. So it kind of looks like that. It's about as much saturation. It doesn't have to be like a completely straight line. That's just, as long as you have it saturated as 1/2 inch on either side is good. Okay, and then we're gonna line the quadrants basically. So we're gonna do the back section, starting at the crown, and then you'll have to feel it because you won't be able to see it. Well, maybe you have a mirror that you can check the back, but a lot of it's going to be by feel. So you'll feel it with one hand, your tips, and then kind of go from that side. I can feel I'm hitting that, so I'm going to pull that over. So you may have to dip back into your color to get a little bit back on, and go on the other side like so. And at this point you can kind of reference with a mirror. I'm going to reference. Good enough. Okay. So we're going to take out one of these sections and we're going to start working on it. So you can part in different ways. I'm going to teach you just like this kind of parting. So you're going to take a parting about this size. See, that's about how much I'm going to take. And I'm going to get this a little straighter here. There we go. So it's probably about 1/4 of an inch wide. And you're going to pull that over on the other side like that. You're going to lay it down, and you're kind of pull it taut like that, because you're going to reveal all your roots. And this way you'll be able to drag the color from here over here. So you'll start here and kind of drag it over your part again like that. So it's looking like that. Like that. So just want to make sure that you've got everything, and if you've dragged it too far down, you can wipe it off. But basically what I'm doing is I'm more kind of dabbing it. Like if you have roots that are only, like if you're used to having your hair done every 3 weeks, you're not going to have very much root. You're probably going to have like, that much. And in that case, you're not going to drag the brush at all. You're just going to dab the brush in. So in those cases, when you have the smallest grow out, you're just going to basically dab it into the part like that. So here, I'll start on a new section to show you. You're going to have a little bit of color, and you're just going to dab it into the part like that. so it doesn't move it around too much, because you don't have very much grow out to cover and you don't want it to overlap too much. But if you have more, most people have at least like a ½ an inch, you'll just drag it a tiny bit more, just a tiny bit, like that. And then pull this section on the other side. You can pull it, you can clip it, but see, this is my section needing to be a little bit cleaner there. There. All right, so creating these small sections, you can kind of speed up. Well, not speed up. You can take your time. You can take your time. There's no rush. Once you get the hang of it, you'll feel like you can speed up a little bit. But better to be more accurate and slower than speedy. So just like that. And you'll just keep on working your way down to the top of your ear down here. You're just gonna try and keep it as taut as possible, like that. So you'll just continue to go down towards your ear. I'm not going to do it all because that'll make a very long video. But you'll just keep on doing these horizontal sections down towards your ear, applying the hair color in each section as you go until you're all the way down to the top of your ear, and you'll put some more color along there. And then you're going to flip your hair back over and section it, or put it back in its section, I should say. So put it back in its ponytail to keep it from touching any of the other sections. And then you'll move on to this section. So on this side, I parted from the back forward, making my sections, and this side I part from my forehead going back. I think it's just because I'm right-handed. So you'll pull this over to try and make it pretty taut. And you'll see that you already have color on this side because it's just on the other side of that part, but you'll just touch that a little bit just to make sure it's completely fully saturated. Hold this section down and apply. This is where you want to, like I got some on my forehead, wipe that off. Other section, flip it over, dab in the color. You'll be able to kind of feel that you're saturating properly because you'll feel it on your scalp. It'll be pretty cool and mushy. Continuing to work back in these sections. So when you're flipping this over, you don't want to like mush it down too much. Just hold it kind of taut like that, kind of horizontal. To create your, because you don't want to do any sort of mushing because that can get it on the ends where you don't want it. I think I forgot to show you that your, when I initially did the quadrants, I went down the back, but I didn't do the lining of the, but I'll show you that now. If you forget it initially, you can always do it after at this point as well. So see how I don't have it going down to my ear. So I'm just gonna pull this forward and dab it along there to line the quadrant. then I got some on the top of my hair, but I'll just wipe that off. Okay. And then I'll go back and I'll do this quadrant that I just did too. Just as long as you're remembering this stuff before you rinse. And you'll go back through after you've applied all this and kind of checked to make sure you haven't missed places. So you're gonna go through down to the bottom on this side, just like you did on the other side. But I'm not going to because it'll take too long. So you'll just continue going down, making your horizontal sections down to the bottom. Get your hairline again. You can touch up your hairline again. And then you will put this back in its hairband or clip, whatever it was keeping it separate. Just like that. Now I'm gonna do this quadrant in back. And the back is the hardest. It's even challenging for hairstylists that probably are used to doing their hair. I don't normally do all of our colors, so it'll be just as challenging for me to do it blind as you to do it. A lot of it's gonna be done with feel. So you've got the back quadrant here, and you're going to create your first parting. If you have to clean off your brush at this point, do it. Just want to keep it all contained as much as possible. You want your hands not to be slipping on your brush. So you've got your little bit of color on your brush, and we're going for this quadrant. You'll feel at the top where your part is here, and then you're going to make a horizontal section. Get then one going that way, and you're going to lay that section. That section looks pretty big. Let me redo that. It's going to be a dinky little section like that. And you're going to lay that section kind of crossways like this. So when you're laying your hair down, this can be a little tricky if you have long hair. You might even want to take a bit of paper towel, very valuable paper towel and toilet paper at this point, because people have been hoarding. And you could just kind of lay it on that section so you're not getting any hair color on your ends. So doesn't have to be very pretty. This may look a little weird, but there you go, just like that. So you'll go back and you'll feel your parting with your finger, and then you're gonna kind of lay your hand down like this, and it's going to kind of create a guide, so you're not putting it on the end of your hair. So just kind of tap in the color along that. Wipe off your hand if you have to, and then you're going to make your next parting. Lay that down. Go. Feel the part, and then tap it in. Wiping off your hand if you have to. That was too thick. See, this is where you want to have your section as taut as possible, like with this clip. Not quite doing the trick, so I'm going to put it back in the ponytail. It may take you 2 or 3 tries to do a parting. But it doesn't matter because it's not about how fast you go. It's really hard to just do it blindly, as you know. And I always having to wipe off my hand there. I'm gonna check this real quick to see what I'm doing. Okay, keep on going. Tell I'm getting into my other quadrant. We're learning together. All right, so continuing to go along. All right, so you're gonna go all the way down to your nape. Bring back the color here, each section onto the tissue. At this point, you may even want to use a clip to keep it in place. So it kept on falling down, so I'm just gonna clip it. Now I've got this like little section back here, just the tiniest little section. I'm gonna line this. So that took a long time to do. So you can take that off. You'll put this back into your quadrant. Use my clip. And you'll do the last quadrant. Take that out. Make sure it's completely lined. Get your little bit of color on there. And then go through this other side, just like you did the side before, putting paper towel down, flipping that first section over, and applying one part. Turn around so you can see. Basically, I'm just doing what I did on the other side. Flipping that on there and pushing it on my section. Taking a little bit more. Bring it down. I think at this point I'm going to put it in the clip. Didn't quite do that early enough last time. In my section. Okay, so pretend I've done this all the way down the back of my head now. Take this off there. Get rid of that. I'm going to put this back into its quadrant. You want to keep it contained even as it is processing. Because at this point you can go do your own thing while it's processing. Just try not to smush any of this down. So at this point you can just leave it like this out in the air. You can put a cap on it. Most color needs oxygen to process, so you don't want to seal anything too tightly to your head. So I just recommend kind of leaving it out like this in its sections. You can do whatever for 40 minutes, and then when it's done and you've timed it for 40 minutes, you can go ahead and rinse it, shampoo it, condition it, just as you normally would. And hopefully at that point you don't have any more roots. All is successful. Oh, I almost forgot, but before you go off and do your own thing for 40 minutes or however long the color process is for, you can go through and check your quadrants too. Sometimes you can check by going through this way, just kind of bigger partings to make sure everything is saturated and covered, and then just go ahead and put it back in your quadrant again for your section where you go off and do your own thing. But yeah, just it's always good to kind of at least check this front area, the areas that are going to be seen the most. I didn't go down all this side because I was trying to save time. But yeah, and if you only want to go do part of your hair, the parts that show new color, you can get away with just coloring, you know, the hairline and this section here, the top, because the top hangs over the underpart underneath here. So, and then like pretty much this section in the back, that top portion will cover the bottom portion. So if you want to just give yourself an abbreviated color, you can. Otherwise, this is how you would do the whole head. Okay, I hope that was helpful, and I'll try and do more tutorials. If you found any of this helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to watch more. I have other videos on how to utilize ponytail updos and hair accessories to maximize unwashed hair. Thanks for watching and stay tuned. Jenna out.